Hello, everyone, and welcome. I am excited to be here today doing an interview with the amazing Dr. Riva, who's a functional medicine doctor and lifestyle coach, who's going to be sharing her 4 secrets to essential health. And for those of you who don't know me, my name is Mahima. I'm a self mastery mentor, and I help people to get empowered internally so that they can create exponential success in the external environment. Whether you're trying to uplevel your game in relationships, in business, in health, in wealth, you've come to the right place because we have conversations that disrupt, inspire, and get you to see things in a different light. So without any further ado, let's get to the Dr. Riva 4 essentials to an amazing health. Hello, Dr. Riva. We are so excited to have you here today. Thank you for taking your time to be here.
Oh, you're so welcome. And thank you, Mahima, for having me here and giving me this beautiful opportunity to share with your community. I don't take any of these moments for granted, especially these days, to get to connect with more people and reach more people's lives.
That's awesome. So tell us a little bit about yourself and what inspired you to come to this topic and to move people's lives with your passion in this way.
Yeah, so as you mentioned so beautifully in the introduction, I'm a functional medicine doctor, and not many people are familiar with what that is in the first place. And I, for one, didn't know about this new approach to medicine until much later in my career. So, I was going the conventional path in medicine, and even from the age of 4 years old, I decided that I wanted to be a doctor. And so, as I started getting invested in this path, also should mention I was a child of two doctors. So there was obviously probably a little bit of strong encouragement to follow that path, but I started to realize as I got more invested that medicine didn't really align, at least the way that it's modeled here in the United States. It doesn't align with my values of creating holistic wellness, focusing on a lifestyle that truly promotes health, teaching people how to feel empowered in their bodies. What I saw, and my first experience working in any healthcare setting was in, I think it was the 10th grade. So I was around 15 years old and working in a nursing home. And I just saw how people were disregarded. And it broke my heart how there were, there's human beings in a home where, they weren't getting that love and nurturing that they deserved. And they were so sad. But the days that we would come as students were the highlights of many of their days. And I remember this one man in particular who really impacted me. And, I spent so much time just talking to him and learning about him as a human being. And I knew from that moment that, medicine should be about that human connection, and understanding that person enables that healing process to occur. But as I progressed further, doing more clinical experiences in different hospitals, I saw how that human element was missing. And as I also was going on my own parallel health journey, and so much of my own personal health struggles throughout my adolescence and early 20s was around my body image and disordered eating and
Mm.
being very self-destructive in how I thought about myself. And
Such a
I realized
powerful
that,
point that you're bringing up there, because I think as women, we have a lot of issues. I know I have had to work through so many issues with my body, with what I look like, with,
yes.
just distorted images of myself, lack of confidence,
Mm,
and all of that stuff,
mhm,
which gets implanted into us from a young age. So part of your struggles was
exactly.
going through something in that direction as well. That as you were going through
Yes.
your studies to become a doctor.
Absolutely. And I mean, and this was something that developed from a very young age and just continued to grow. And, as you probably experienced too, the longer it's there and embedded in your spirit, it takes such a deep root that, it takes so much work and joyful work to be able to cleanse ourselves of those self-destructive patterns. But I grew up doing gymnastics, so many of us in gymnastics and dance and sports where our body has to be immaculate
Mm,
develop these types of body dysmorphia, disordered eating, or eating disorders. And so I knew, and I don't think it was a conscious realization that I have to be whole in myself so that I can serve others. But I think subconsciously I knew that, like, I need to appreciate the beauty and the sanctity of this vessel that
yeah.
I get to live in so that I can help others appreciate that too. And also be able to shift how medicine is focused so that we can bring the focus back on the individual and how they take care of themselves versus the doctors or the nurses or whatever field is telling people what they should be doing, because all of us have a divine knowing of ourselves and should be given the tools to guide our life in a way that we sustain and promote our own healing. So, in a nutshell, that's what functional medicine does. It gives us the tools to be able to take care of our body, focusing on key lifestyle factors like nutrition and exercise, balancing our stress, and promoting better sleep. If we could do those four things, you'd eradicate 90% of disease in the world. But those are things that aren't necessarily easy to manage. It's simple in theory, but having the guidance and the support, which is where the lifestyle coaching component of my business comes in, where I
Mhm.
can help people shift their lifestyles in a way that's aligned with the goals that they have for themselves.
That's amazing. I love you snapped through those 4 points very fast. So I want to just, back up and just go through each one of them with a little bit more details, right? So
Mhm.
I caught the first one, nutrition, and I got the second one, exercise, and I guess there was sleep there, but I may have,
Yes.
missed the third one. But we'll
Stress.
get a stress. Okay, great. So let's go through the first one, right? So for people listening here, what could you give them as a kind of just like a condensed knowledge that could just kind of kickstart their journey into better nutrition in the most easy way, like a hack, basically a nutrition
Yeah.
hack that they can start
Mhm.
after listening to this, like boom, I'm going to implement that.
Hmm. Yes. So I love this analogy because I'm a very visual learner. So if you give me a picture, I can figure it out. And so the very simplest way to approach our nutrition is simply eating the rainbow. So we have five main colors or color groups of food that provide all of the nutrients that we need and able to you know, fight off inflammation in our body, promote brain health, support heart health, do all of these vital functions. And so, if we're aiming to get our red, our orange and yellow, green, blue and indigo, and white and tan foods every single day, then you're going to be able to provide your body with all of the healing nutrients it needs. And so, obviously, being in a world where most people probably need advanced nutritional interventions, most people are overweight in our Western world, it can be very overwhelming to step into a setting where it's like, oh my gosh, I have to change everything in my diet, I have to lose 100 pounds, I have to do all these things. So I like to just start things simply, like let's focus on simply getting more color in your diet first. That's going to help your body be able to adjust to more, hate to say the word stringent, but sometimes things get a little bit more advanced as I guide people along their healing journeys. But I like to start with the most simple intervention and think more additive versus subtractive at first.
Oh,
As
I love that.
most people have Yes, as
Yeah.
most people, myself included, have done diet after diet after diet, and we get into this restrictive mentality of like, I have to take away things from my life, and that gets us into the psychology of like, oh my gosh, I'm minimizing my life, I'm minimizing myself, I'm not able to do this or that. And it gets us into that scarcity mindset, which
Yes.
then feeds us more into that cycle of getting into those habits that we don't want to
Yes.
be in,
So I always
overeating,
say to
binging.
people, you get more of what you focus on, right? So wherever your focus
Yes,
goes. So I love that idea of abundance. I add to my
yes,
diet. So I'm adding greens, I'm adding juices, I'm adding fresh, I'm adding whatever it is that people are going to be adding. I just love that analogy of, more richness, more nutrition, more, joy, basically, more freshness. So that's a powerful
yes,
hack. I think people are going to be able to follow
yeah.
that. So when we move to the second point that you mentioned, because I just want to make sure we have enough time, and I know that you're
Mhm.
like me, you can't put lifetime of wisdom into 40 minute interview, right? So that's why people
Sit
need
down.
to journey with us for longer periods of time, right? Maybe have access to our
Mhm.
YouTube channels or subscribe to our newsletters or whatever it is to really get more of the juiciness that we have to share. But here we want to just give them like a taste of, okay,
Yes,
let's get started, right? So I just love what you brought to the table on nutrition. Now let's move to
thank you.
exercise. How can I hack my exercise? Because, you know, I personally have been training when I had time back in the day when I had 2 hours to go to the gym. Okay. Those were the
Glorious.
good old days for me, right? But I'm just not that person anymore. I do not have any interest to go for 2 hours in the gym. I don't even want to do an hour in the gym, quite frankly and honestly. So, what would you say to someone like me, right? Like, help
Yeah,
me hack this. I love being healthy. I love to feel strong,
yeah,
but I've got to,
yeah.
I'm just over the 1 hour trainings.
That's great. And I'm in that same shift too. So you probably know that but for those of you who don't know, obviously you're just getting to meet me. I compete in bodybuilding. And so I am accustomed to spending hours and hours in the gym, but
Hmm.
I'm actually quite thankful to the pandemic for causing me to slow down and to reevaluate what's important. I don't have to spend 2 hours in the gym to reach peak fitness. You don't even have to spend an hour. Actually, there are ways, like one of my very favorite ways of getting in more bang for your buck with exercise is with high intensity interval training. Are you familiar with high intensity
That's
interval
what I'm
training,
on
Mahima?
these days. That's what I'm on these days. Yes, I
Excellent.
have started
Good. So
that.
you're doing,
Yes, for since the last 2 years, I've been on that journey,
oh,
and I'm getting to love it more and more. It's a world that starts to
awesome.
feel very nourishing. I resisted it for
Awesome.
a while because I was always like, no, I got to jog, I got to jog, I got to, I got to sweat, and now I'm like, no, I'm getting the medicine. It's good medicine.
Yeah, it is. So to touch on the medical benefits of high intensity interval training,
Can you
so
just
it
explain what that
actually,
is for people who might not have
yeah,
any clue about it?
absolutely. And so with HIT or high intensity interval training, we're alternating between intervals where you're going at your maximal effort. And if you're doing maximal effort, you shouldn't be able to go for more than 20, 30 seconds at a time because we're simply using the most readily available energy in our body. So it takes a little while for that to regenerate. So we go for about 20 seconds, maximal effort, and then you might take a minute or so break. then you go at it again. And if you can do more than 20, 30 minutes of high intensity, then you actually should be going at even higher intensity, because you should only have to do about 15 to 20 minutes of high
Mm.
intensity interval training to ensure that you're reaching that maximal effort zone. And the really cool thing is that, yes, you're working your muscles, you're working your body, but the effect it has on our brain is quite profound. So, yes, we get that immediate rush of endorphins that make us feel like we can conquer the world, because we can. But we also get the promotion of this chemical in our brain called brain derived neurotrophic factor, which helps us improve the connection between our neurons and actually regenerate new neurons or brain cells, which for many years, I remember even learning in school as a kid that if you lose, like if you have brain damage and something happens, your brain cells can't regenerate. False. So, brain derived neurotrophic factor is what causes our brain cells to regenerate, and that's stimulated by high intensity interval training. And so, exercise is medicine when
Mm.
it's done appropriately. So, I tell people, if you're doing a regimen with HIIT, you only have to do it 2 to 3 times per week. And
Mm.
you can even adapt it, as I know you used to do running. You could do it with running. You can do, sprints and then walk for a minute,
I love that.
alternating for 10 to 15 minutes. You can combine the cardio and the weightlifting together. So you could lift weights for 20, 30 seconds, going as heavy as you can or as quickly as you can. Then take breaks walking around the block or around your house or living room. So you can incorporate whatever movement that excites you. And I tell people, usually people are like, oh my gosh, I don't want to push myself that hard. That seems scary. Like, we'll make it fun. Incorporate movements and exercises that you love and just crank it out.
You know, I call that excusitis. Yeah, a lot of us have the disease. Okay,
Guilty.
I don't want to swear. I don't want to push too hard. Like,
I'm
listen,
going to have to use that
yeah, depending,
excusitis.
I got that from my coach. Okay, and he's like, was it my coach Lisa or Kane? I'm not sure. One of them was like, I don't want to hear your excusitis. I'm like, okay, okay. So
Brilliant.
that's fantastic. I love that. So it's the hit training, it's the food, and then the I
Mhm.
think the sleep. That's people don't realize just how important that is, right? Because of
Mhm.
like you explain it. I think you can explain it much better than me. What's happening in somebody's physique when they're sleep deprived and what that's putting into their system, right?
Mm. Yes. So sleep, I tell people, when I start working with somebody, we all could make improvements in our sleep, whether you're sleeping the optimal 7 to 9 hours or not. We can all figure out how to get better deep sleep, how to get into sleep more readily. It's one of the most important things you can do for your body, because what happens when we're sleeping is numerous things. So we still don't understand 100% all of the things, but what we do know is that it's important for our brain to go to work to clean up all of the metabolic debris that's created from our hard-working brain. Because just like if you're exercising and you're doing your HIIT and you're feeling that burn in your muscles, is the lactic acid and the debris from that metabolism within those tissues. Our brain is a tissue too, and it's actively working all of the time. It's one of the most metabolically active organs in our body. And just like a car is going to put out exhaust fumes from working, our brain is actively secreting exhaust fumes, so to speak. And only when we're sleeping does the system, it's called the glymphatic system, kind of like lymphatic system in the rest of the body that cleanses our tissues, except it has a G in front of it. The glymphatic system only activates during our sleep. to clear out the gunk that develops in the cells during the day. Now, why is this important? If you've heard of conditions like Alzheimer's disease or Parkinson's disease, or even just the regular cognitive decline that develops as we get older, part of that is due to the junk that develops in between the cells and disrupts those connections that enable our brain to function appropriately. And so the glymphatic system activates during sleep. So if we're not sleeping, we're not cleaning out our brain appropriately. And,
Mm.
if you get a poor night's sleep, you're also not cleaning things out well, and you're going to wake up the next morning feeling a little bit more fuzzy, feeling, that brain fog maybe. You're not thinking as sharply as you normally would. And so just for short-term and long-term benefit, sleep is important on that level. But for the
Okay,
rest of
I
our body,
love that. Wow, I've never heard that explained in that way. That's very powerful. So, what's the hack? I want to sleep better.
yes.
Tell me, Dr.
Mhm.
Riva, what do I do
First
to
thing
get the
is
junk
to,
out of my, to get the gunk, out of, out
yes,
of my
get
mind.
the
I can
gunk
really feel
out
it.
of the
Like we
trunk.
all know that feeling, right? So the brain fog,
Yes.
the like, oh, I can't focus, right? Focus is a big thing for
Hmm.
people, right? How do we
Oh,
get more
yes.
focused? And, the
Hmm.
wandering mind that just kind of is picking up all the shiny objects, and you're being called here, you're being called there. You wake up, and the first thing that happens is what you should be doing, right? So, as a
Right.
self mastery mentor, I think the way you wake up and go into your day is essential, right? I say start the day on your own terms with a daily practice that helps to get rid
Mm-hmm.
of whatever feelings of limitation, feelings of smallness, feelings of fear, feelings of disconnection, like really, meditation, gratitude, any kind of exercise that stimulates you to be in the bigger version of yourself. But
Yes.
so tell us a bit about your sleep hack. What would you recommend?
Hmm. A few things. So, most of us are guilty of being on our devices at
Ooh,
night. So,
guilty,
yes,
guilty.
because we're productive, we have things to do, we're getting ready for our next day. And so, I aim to, and I'll admit I'm a work in progress too, I aim to power down any electronics at least an hour before bed, because our computer, our phone, the TV, they're emitting UV light that's stimulating our brain. And in order for us to be able to, our brain to initiate that sleep cycle, it can't have UV light stimulating the brain. And so, powering down the devices, I tell people, create a sleep sanctuary for yourself. So you get to turn devices off. If you still have work to do, then light some candles and make it a nice soft hue. Or in our bedroom, we actually have a light that changes colors. My husband likes all the techie things, so it can actually convert from white light into a red light. And the red light is actually going to be soothing and calming for your nervous system.
Mhm.
Another thing, if you're going to be on your computer, I use my blue light filtering glasses. And so
Mm,
they actually look like regular glasses,
I need
and I
those.
have them right here at my computer too. Is if I have to do some work, if I like, oh shoot, I forgot to send that email, got to crank it out real quick. This will help filter out that UV light
Okay, or
so
even if
that
you
it's
just
not
need to binge
stimulating.
watch Netflix before you go to bed. Guilty.
Yes, and I will do that too. Actually, I have some that are a bit stronger than these ones. So I'm like, I'm gearing up. I'm still going to get to sleep tonight, but I really need to finish this season because it's going to bother me. just want to be done with it so I don't have to keep coming back to this show.
Yeah, sure. I know that very well.
Yes,
Yeah,
yes.
the
So,
guilty pleasures of life. Yeah, after a hard day's work.
mhm. Yes, you need to be able to check your brain out. And that
Mhm,
was going to be the next thing, like having some type of wind down ritual for yourself.
mm, mm.
So, for me, like I like to power down the devices, and then usually there's a sense of like, oh, I'm not able to be like, okay. So I get out my notepad and then I like brain dump. I get whatever else that might be activating my brain, all those little pings and like, oh, I just dump it out so my brain can start slowing itself down. And I know it's going to be there for me tomorrow. So my brain can start focusing on, okay, I'm going to relax into bed. I'm going to, do my deep breathing. That's another thing that helps us slow our system down, whether it's taking 2 to 3 cycles of deep breaths, or, I usually don't make it past that third breath as by the time I get into bed and I've done all these things right, my system is primed and ready. But having that ritual in and of itself is what helps to feed forward into our brain that like, okay, we're going to sleep now. Just like you said, you have that morning ritual.
Yes.
The evening ritual is just as important so that we can get that sleep that will restore our mind and body.
I love that. I love that. So, because I do talk a lot about morning rituals, but I love to start talking about the evening ritual and, kind of
Mhm.
getting that wind down, allowing yourself to start to kind of reflect positively on the day. I love the dumping, like get something where you can put all your ideas down so that it doesn't feel like, like your mind needs to keep
Mhm.
grabbing onto it. So I think that's a very powerful hack. I love that. Yeah, just get something.
Okay.
So you said writing, right? Writing or
Writing,
mhm,
yes. Or if
mhm,
you might even keep a notepad by your bed so that
mhm, mhm.
it's like, oh shoot, I need to write something down. Like keep it at your bedside so you can just
Yeah.
scribble it out, and be done with it.
I love it. Love it, love it, love it. Okay, and now finally, last but certainly not least, but probably one of the more exciting ones is your fourth, right? Your fourth hack. So it's about
Yeah.
stress. So what do
Yes.
you recommend there, and what does that mean? What does stress mean to you? Because I think for everyone, it might have a slightly different interpretation.
Yes, yes. So stress is not necessarily a bad thing. Where, as human beings, our bodies are adapted to respond to different stressors. And so there's 2 types of stress. There's distress, which is the bad kind that we don't like, and there's also eustress. And so I could say, this interview is eustress. It's, a chance for me to perform and talk and have myself ready, and it's stimulating and it's exciting and I'm getting to share, but it is a stressor in the sense that I'm not just in a completely relaxed state, even though I am relaxed, but it's not just me bumming around. And so eustress is good for us to be able to energize our bodies, but distress is going to be more of that draining, that sense of heaviness that we feel, that we probably get those ruminations or those like ideas that are just running around over and over and cycling in your head that might produce anxiety and fear and worry. It can be a sense of dread. It can manifest in so many different ways. It could be, due to people you might be in quarantine with. Thankfully, I have a beautiful husband and things have been great, but it can be due to any number of factors around you that cause you to feel a sense of heaviness. And so this kind of stress is not productive for our body. Stress is the number one contributor to chronic disease across the board because it disrupts every system in our body, from our gut and the tension and the churning that we feel there to our mind and the depression and the anxiety and lack of sleep and everything it stimulates. So as
I
far
want
as hacks go,
Oh, okay, great, great. I actually wanted to just, I'll come back to what I wanted to ask. Go ahead, love.
Okay, so as far as hacks go, my favorite thing, honestly, is just journaling. I have my journal here because we need to get it out of our head and onto something where we can see it for what it is. And, this is part of my morning practice because I'm guilty of sometimes waking up and being like, oh gosh, I have this and this to do. And oh my gosh, I'm so behind on this and I have to get back to this person. But being able to focus on first, what are the things that are actually going well in your life? I write down my gratitude list because when we can focus on abundance, as we talked about before, then you start to realize that everything is okay. Like, I am okay in this very moment. I am breathing. I am healthy. I am here. I am supported. And then, like, once I gotten that out, I'm like, okay, so let me look at all of the stuff that has my head churning in an objective way. Like, yeah, I'm getting ready for a move. Like, moving is the third most destructive stressor, I think, behind like death of a family member or death of someone special in your life. And I think divorce, like
Mm,
moving is very chaotic.
mm,
So,
mm, mm, mm.
it's like I'm, journaling that out and telling myself everything is going to work itself out. Like,
Okay, so
I've moved
I want
several
to hack.
times.
I want to hack stress right now a little. Like I just want the people
Mhm.
listening to this to, because my thing is become aware and then you can transform it, right? A lot of us are
Yes.
not even aware of what's happening. We're not aware of what's causing us stress. We're not aware that there's
Mhm.
distress and that there's eustress, right? Eustress is the thing
Mhm.
that's juicy, that gives you energy, that comes kind of like it's the part that challenges us in life, makes us grow,
Mhm.
makes us expand, makes us reach for the things that we
Yes.
want to have. And that I think is an essential part of stress, right? Becoming
Mhm.
anything you want to do, whether it's becoming a successful entrepreneur or creating a work environment that is really productive and highly effective and efficient. Anything you want to do to disrupt what's going on in your current life is going to have a certain level of stress involved in creating that, right? But then there's the
Absolutely.
de-stress, which is the awareness of, how much am I, you know, living in a life that doesn't really serve me to be the greatest version of myself, right? And so some of
Mhm.
us are in toxic relationships, and that's what's causing our distress. Some of us are in wrong jobs, jobs that don't really light up our soul, or in places where we don't really feel that we are, serving on the highest level that we can. That can be very stressful.
Mhm.
Some of us
Totally.
are, not having the financial freedom or abundance that we want. Maybe we have a job that we love, but it's not being able to facilitate the lifestyle that we want and deserve. So that was me, for example, many years ago, where I was doing my work as a personal growth mentor, which I loved, and I was doing all kinds of creative projects, which I loved as well. I'm painting. I did a music project. I've been helping people with their mindset and their personal growth already since I'm 27 years old. And I'm
Wow.
actually about to turn 50 next year in
What?
March. Yes.
All
So,
right.
so at some point I was very distressed about my inability to create abundance with my passion, right? So this is something I'm super
Mhm.
passionate about, supporting people to understand that there are systems to everything you want to accomplish. You just need to find
Mhm.
somebody who has accomplished what you want to accomplish and get them to help you. This is my
Mhm.
secret sauce for success. Now,
I love
we're
it.
not used of asking for help, and I want to really call out the women. I want to call out the women here, men as well. But I'm passionate about empowering women, and I'm passionate about empowering men as well. If there's any of you listening to this, right? So we love you to join the conversation. But in this moment, I want to speak specifically to women, right? We need to raise up our vibrational frequency to really dive into a more empowered version of ourselves by owning the truth that is inside of our hearts about what we truly want in this life. Nothing's going to change
Mm-hmm.
until we change it. Nothing's going to change
Yes.
until we change it. We're waiting to be saved. We're waiting to be acknowledged. We're waiting for somebody else to help us. Now, of course, that seems contradictory to me saying, get someone to help you, right? Like, we're waiting to be saved. We're waiting to be helped. So it seems contradictory, but it isn't. It is knowing what you know and knowing what you don't know. Being humble enough to
Mm-hmm.
say, I want to get into optimal health. I have been battling with this for years and years and years, and now I'm ready to say, I don't know what to do. Dr. Riva, can you help me? Okay, I have
Yeah.
been battling with my confidence, with feeling good in my life, with having a voice, and as I said, turning my passion into my business and being able to create a life that I love. Mahima, help me. Yeah, what are your systems? What are the systems that we are using? So I have my formula. I know that Dr. Riva has her formula. This is a proven formula that we've used on, many people. Yeah, thousands. I personally have used my formula on thousands of people all over the world. So it's a step-by-step process of how to get empowered mentally, emotionally, and spiritually. Right? So why keep on struggling? For anyone who's listening to this right now, what are you trying to accomplish? Why let another year go by, another 2 years go by, another 3 or 4 months go by, instead of saying, I'm going to get help. Yeah, I'm going to get someone to help
Mm-hmm.
me. So that's my secret source advice to anyone who's trying to accomplish better health, better relationships, more money, more connection to yourself, more spiritual grounding, whatever it is. Find someone who's done it and get them to help you. Yeah? So this has been amazing spending this time with you, Dr. Riva. You've given us so many juicy, juicy, juicy nuggets. And I just want to ask you, what would be your parting words for people listening to this that are feeling, let's say disempowered around their health? And, what would you say to them to just kind of continue all of this juiciness? How would you sum it up in some last words?
Yeah, so that's so beautiful. And thank you for, I mean, what you just shared there, Beck. I have to pause and reflect and absorb all of that juiciness as I have been guilty of not asking for help when I need it. And that's an active part of my journey. And, segueing into the health component is like we each have that area where it's easier for us to take action. Uh, and that's where my divine insight is when it comes to our physical body. And I have my mentors for the emotional, spiritual components too. So when it comes to our physical body, it's knowing that we deserve to live in a strong, healthy, powerful, beautiful body. And so many of us, and this was my past, and to be honest, it's still something that I work through with my body. Like once you've had body image issues, it's still going to buzz and try to rise itself up from now and then. And
I'm
so
so glad you
knowing that,
mentioned that. I'm so glad you mentioned that because people think it's you fix it and that's it, right? It's an ongoing journey. It's an ongoing journey. It's a
mhm,
dance into your higher
yes,
self and being able to maintain that place, right? So I just love that you shared
hmm
that because I think some people are looking for quick fixes where they feel like that's not going to be a problem anymore, right? So if you have a
right.
sleep issue and you're sleeping better, it's because you're doing things to create that better sleep. So now the question is, can you
hmm
allow yourself to continue doing that? Yes, I see
Right.
that. Yeah, so it's that like now
Yeah.
you figured out what keeps your body healthy. Can you continue doing that for the long-term gain? Or is it
Yes.
just a short burst of,
Yes.
I'll get to better sleep, but then you start slipping back into the habits that caused the negative sleep
Hmm.
patterns, right? Or you get that
Right.
body healthy and you start to look good, and then boom, you start slipping back into yeah. So it's that continued dance. And I think having
Hmm.
mentors, having people support you
Hmm.
over a long term, right? Like being a part
Hmm.
of a tribe. That's the thing I'm the most proud about, is creating a tribe of people where you can go on the journey together with and continue on that
Hmm.
journey long after the initial excitement of the shift is over, right? Because it's
Hmm.
exciting when you first, get into better health and you start feeling better. It's all very exciting, right? But we need to keep the
Hmm.
excitement going for a lifetime.
Yeah. Yes. And so much of that is, what keeps that drive going. And it's not easy. It's a daily practice, is that reminding yourself that I am worthy of continuing this work. I am worthy of showing up for myself every day, not just for, the first, not just for the 10 pounds you lost, but for the maintenance of the weight. I'm worthy of showing up for every workout because I'm empowering my body. I'm improving my BDNF, my brain derived neurotrophic factor. So it's figuring out, like, what is that meaning for you? Like, what inspires you to continue that work for your body? Because this is our one and only divine vessel that we have to carry us through the rest of our life. And I think it's so easy to get disconnected from the sanctity of this vessel because it doesn't look a particular way, or it doesn't work exactly the way that you want it to. But knowing that we're worthy, I am worth every bit of love and energy and attention that I pour into myself. And as the title of my book says, like, I am more than enough. I'm enough regardless of what happens, how I look. I can continue to embrace that. I am a divine creature. And so, that inspires me in my darkest moments when I start to dip back into some of those mindsets that aren't serving me. It's like, no, like, I deserve my own love just as I pour it out into everybody else. I get to fill my own cup even more.
I love it, love it, love it. I think that's a perfect note to end. I get to fill my cup even more. I'm worthy. I'm worthy. And I am more than enough. In the words of Dr. Riva, more than enough, people. And where can we get the book, and where can we get to know more about you?
Yeah, so my book is available on Amazon, so you can check it out there on Kindle and in paperback. And I spend most of my time in the social world on Instagram, so you can find me there, say hello. I'm very active in the DMs. I love chatting with all my friends and family there. And also, my website is rivawellness.com, so you can look me up on any of those spaces.
Awesome. RivaWellness.com. And thank you guys for being a part of this conversation. Let's disrupt. Let us get our health into the best health that we've ever been in. Everything that's happening in the world right now is an invitation to wake up, to rise up, and to reclaim your true purpose in life. We can't just keep on sleeping and thinking, like somehow everything's going to kind of fix itself. No, 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 no. Okay. We've got to get into action, but inspired action. So I hope this interview has given you some inspiration to take back your power and start living an epic and beautiful life. Thank you guys for being a part of this conversation. My name is Mahima, the Self Mastery Mentor, and you can find me on my YouTube channel, The Guide to Inner Peace. Yes? Love you all. Thanks for listening. Bye bye. Bye, guys. Bye.
Bye,
And thank you
everyone.
so much, Riva. This has been awesome
You're so
having you here.
welcome.
So many good gold nuggets yeah, I appreciate you so much. You're
You.
incredible. Keep
Mm,
rocking what you do in the world and, just being a powerful woman, doing great things, following your heart. I appreciate you. Thank you. Thank you, Angel.
oh, thank you,
Bye-bye.
Mahima.
Bye,
Bye.
everyone.